David Knox coming to you live on Monday, October 3rd, 2016. It's our first Monday Administrator and Manager webinar. Thanks, everybody, for joining me. And for those of you who are maybe the one or two representatives of your company, I sure hope you forward the recording of this webinar to every single manager in your company. Before we begin, let's put on the schedule. The next webinar is going to be Monday, October 31, 2016, and the reason it still is October because the first Tuesday is the day after that. That is the NAR convention. So Monday, October. So Halloween is going to be our next first Monday. What I'll talk about today are the October 2016 videos, some new features, and we have today's guest, Judy LaDeur, who absolutely specializes in recruiting, and I know every one of you on this webinar are looking forward to hearing more about recruiting. So I'm excited to bring Judy to you in just a few minutes. And by the way, next month's guest is going to be Vinny Delaccio. And he was probably one of the early adopters of our accountability plans. He took his entire organization of training and put it into our plans. So Vinny's going to join us on October 31 and tell you a little bit about that. So we've uploaded a lot of videos this month, which kind of begs the question, I don't know at what point we're uploading too many videos and at what point you want to back off and spend time on something else. But as usual, we start with the what's new for October 2016. In fact, why should I use PowerPoint? Why not just go to the site? It's more fun. When you click on what's new for October, the RET Agent User Guide, we just reconnected that this morning, but that's a guide you can print out, put it by the coffee machine, email it to your agents, but it just shows them how to use it. Speaking of user guides, if you go to Manager Resources, you will see the RET Welcome User Guide and tutorial. It was updated September 6th, and that will show you pretty much how to use everything in the entire training site. And for those of you who have not, I go in and see that there's a lot of companies not using the accountability plans, and I will just say you are missing the strongest, most powerful feature in all of our training. So be sure to check that out. So, KFT 103. I don't know if you've ever heard of the selling, but I started reading that a while ago and went, wow, I really like this book. This is great. And it took the basic buyer and seller counseling questions to a higher level. And I realized that we trip upon doing what's called implication questions. One of the things I taught in listing was, you know, why are you moving, where are you moving, when are you moving? And then the question I asked that I've been teaching forever is, what would happen if your home didn't sell? And I realized that's an implication question. In other words, it takes them to the pain. What pain exists if you don't satisfy your needs? So there's a whole chapter on it. In fact, I'll tell you something. This is fun. I don't know how far away through the book, and there was a sales example in there that the author was complaining about a bad salesperson, and he was trying to buy a pager or a VHS or something, and I went, oh my gosh, when was this book written? And I went to the front of the book and saw it was written in '88, but it taught me something. Sales techniques work no matter when. It doesn't matter if they're 20 or 30 years old. And I see a lot of people will watch some of the mentor series and say, oh gosh, those look pretty dated, but the techniques are still powerful. So it was interesting how I had to hesitate when I heard that. Next, for those of you who do anything with luxury real estate, or even if you don't, it's kind of cool. Real Estate Live number 28-1 through 4. You're going to hear how these two ladies, Marianne MacArthur and Karen Ellison, from a company on the west coast of Florida, and they will talk about their $17.5 million listing. You'll hear how they prospect. Now, they won't tell you exactly how they got this particular listing because just of privacy, respect for privacy of the owners, but they will clearly tell you how they get those listings. Then they'll talk about their marketing, and a cool thing, they have a luxury home event, which is really cool. They call it the Omelet Party, and even though it might make people's heads explode because it's such a massive scale, it still should trigger the creative thinking on when you have expensive property, you've got to do more than, you know, just send out an email. And then when you want to see the home, number 4, you can actually take a tour of the home. So that's pretty cool. And we uploaded 2 more quick tips. Here's a guy, Bill Inman from Texas. Simple little quick tip. Whenever he works with expired listing, he takes a video of himself in front of the house and sends it to him, and really makes it personal. And Mercy Abraham talks about getting to the emotional part of selling. So those are our new videos for October. I certainly hope you like them. Now, let's get to engaging your agents. Constant question. How do I engage my agents? Hearing some of the frustrations. I think I'm going to write a book for real estate managers and brokers owner. The title of the book is going to be Your Agents Won't Do Anything. Maybe the most cynical book title ever written, but I truly believe that your agents won't do anything unless you are there to spoon feed them, hand hold them, lead them, cajole them. They're just not going to do anything. And over all these years of complaining about agents not doing anything, I realized that it's misplaced. It's us. We are the leaders. We are the managers in this industry. We are the ones that need to help these agents do things because they will not do anything. So I think if you start with that philosophy that your agents aren't going to do anything, it's kind of like the book, The Road Less Traveled. The first 3 words in it are, life is difficult. And the author goes on to say, if you can accept that, then read the rest of this book and let's talk about how to go through a difficult life. So if you can accept the fact your agents aren't going to do anything, then you realize it is up to you to get them to do stuff. And even if they won't do it after that, it's time to let them go. So how do you engage them? I'm realizing a lot of companies are not forwarding this email. Rob Tronson, our vice president in charge of marketing, all the stuff that we do on this website, spends days building this beautiful email with links directly to the videos and explanations of it, and we put it together and we test it and we send it out every month, and we see the opening rate is not as good as it could be, and I don't know what the forwarding rate is, but my gosh, this will teach your agents about the videos. And so we will not email your agents directly. Probably never again. It's not going to happen. The exception to that, the accountability plans, because there's just a few emails that go out at a time. But we did that, and they complained, they reported us, we got shut down. So we said, that's it, I'm not going to mail to agents. So we are relying upon you to take this email and forward it to your agents every single month and let them know about the videos. The best way to get engagement is to show it in meetings using the action plans. And by the way, we do have an email link to the video, and I want to remind you that. So if you're, let's pick a video. Spin selling. If you want to email it to somebody, you just click on email link to video, and you can take this link, copy it, and paste it into a broadcast email and say, by the way, this is a really cool video. Your head will explode when you get to the 2-minute mark. If you're going to just send it to one person, you can just click on your email client, and it will open up. It'll open up your email. It'll have the link in it, and then you can write down, to whom you want to send it. So remember, that's a simple little feature. We've had that, I think, since day one. So I just want to remind you of that. By the way, we were talking around here about having a Facebook group page. Maybe it's something I should have thought about a long time ago, but one of the ways for us to go directly to your agents would be to set up a Facebook group page, and over the next months or a year, slowly but surely, we get every single agent in your company to add themselves as a member of our Facebook group page. Now, we don't have this yet, so this is a request to you. And then maybe they'll get some direct messages where it pops up, new videos, and here's a link to go to it. So I don't know what you guys think of that. We're considering it. In fact, if you would, maybe in the question area, type in what you'd like to. Oh, I just see a message from Bree that audio is cutting in and out. Rob,
it seems pretty consistent now, David. It did drop out earlier, so we're tracking it. Okay.
All right. I just increased my volume, so that should make it better. Bree just said it's better now. Great, thank you. So I'd be curious to see what you guys think of a Facebook group page, and come up with a cool name, and then we'll make sure that everybody knows. Let me see, Aaron, I like the Facebook group page idea. Anybody else have some feedback? Yeah, we're just, like I said, I want to get to your agents, and I'm relying upon you to do that by forwarding the email, but we've got to find another way. Kim, you like the Facebook group page idea? Okay, well, we're going to keep working on that. Next, website upgrades. I saw somebody else post a note here, greater days. Okay, so I got the first 3 people like the Facebook group page. All right, thank you. That's good feedback. Let's talk about some website upgrades. I mentioned to you last time that on the accountability plans, the player would open without going back to the main page, and then I went to demonstrate it, and I was wrong. It didn't do it. But I was a little bit too early. So this is, we've done two things. Number one, we had a request. In fact, Kim Crumley, I believe you were the one, and Deanne requested that the action plans be over in the left nav rather than up at the top. So we put them here. So this is Dave Beeson, my sample. So the action plan would be here. So you'd click on the action plan, and now that opens. And when you click on the video, instead of going back to the home page, the video opens up just in its own window. That way your agents won't get distracted and go to a lot of different videos. They will remain right on the accountability plan page. So we hope you like that little feature, keeping your agents focused. Let's see, there's another comment in here. Oh, we got 4 people now, see, on the Facebook group page. So Rob, I guess we've got our work cut out for us. We're going to go do that. Oh, trim down accountability plans. I'm just going to confess to you that when I built the accountability plans, I did the same thing with those as I do in a seminar. I'll have 6,432 PowerPoint slides because as a speaker trainer, I don't want to run out of material. I did the same thing on the accountability plans. I put in a lot of videos thinking it would be easier for all of you to look at a big list and delete the ones you don't want than to add without having any clue where to find the ones you want to add. So, in fact, Kim and Deanne, I think, actually said, you know, there's too many in there, you need to trim them out. So I did. I went through the accountability plans, trimmed them down a bit, and really narrowed them to what I really think are some good videos. So, but just remember, you are free to delete the ones if you think it's overkill. By the way, Ernie Pinker just said, Facebook page, invite-only closed group, so it's available to subscribers only. Yep, we will do. Thank you, Ernie. Good idea. So anyway, we've trimmed down the accountability plans. I want to remind you again, we have a sponsor area. I'm going to go back live to my site. If you would like to monetize your site, maybe have somebody else pay for the training, or if you would like to just honor your affiliated businesses, you can go to settings, settings again, and then down here, click on sponsor area. And what will happen is it opens up a rich text editor that allows you to put in your own logos or text. When you click Save, go back to my site, these sponsors are across the, the top of the page. We have some companies doing that. So, like I say, it's optional. You don't have to, but you can choose to. So I'll go back to Settings. Pardon me. Back to Settings again, and I'll deselect it, and now it goes away. Okay, back to PowerPoint. Oh, by the way, I want some help here. And I know I'm not going to get it right on the webinar and it'd probably take too much time, but I am thinking of taking our entire management videos, just deleting the entire section and completely starting over. Shooting new videos and reorganizing them. And I'm thinking of calling them LDR for leadership, and then using 100 through 400 or maybe 500. And then every time we add a video, it might be 100 and then 110 and 120. That way, as we add videos, they will fit into the curriculum. Right now, when we add a video, you know, the numbers are basically referring to when the video is added, and they don't relate to each other. But if I could change the numbering system from 100 to 400 or 500, I think it would be easier to find. And this is something I really want your feedback on. Maybe do a screenshot of this page, and after the webinar spend some time. But I'd like to know what you think of the numbering system, what you think of the categories. I just jotted down the first 4. If you hire a new manager, you know, getting started. What do you want them to know there? Perhaps learning about the administrative side of management, certainly recruiting and coaching, and whatever else. So I'm interested in knowing, I guess, 3 things from you all. Kind of the numbering system. I'd be curious to see what you would do, and you know, what numbers you might use and what categories, and then just jot down some specific topics, just anything you want, and maybe we'll shoot to that topic. But I just think we can strengthen our leadership criteria and curriculum, so I really need your help on that. So please, in fact, maybe just to get you involved, how do you guys feel about redoing the management? Paul says cool and perfect. I'm not sure if you're referring to Facebook or the leadership videos. But while I'm here, please do a screenshot of that for your Mac users, Command Shift 3, PC, I think it's print screen, and I'd love some help with that. Oh, good. So Paul likes the leadership video idea. I just think that we can bring a lot more value, and guest speakers, by the way, things like that. So, oh, and we're going to update the mobile app. You all know we have Real Estate Training mobile app, but we're going to upgrade it, and we're in the process of doing it now and doing some approvals with Apple. I learned don't ever give a deadline for that, because who knows? I'd like to see it in a month. But in the mobile app, we'll be able to access accountability plans. We're also going to do an audio-only option. We had a great suggestion from one of your users who said, I like to listen to your videos when I'm walking the dog or driving, but the problem is it uses up my data plan because video is so data intensive. Could you do an audio-only option? I went, gosh, that's a great idea. Let me see. So we're going to do that. We're going to do automatic updating, and we'll also allow comments and rating on the mobile app. So any questions or comments? The next slide, as you can see, is to get to Judy, but before I do that, I'm going to pause. I'm going to take a breath. Ernie Pinkert says, you can use the numbering system as an accounting platform, 1, 0, 0, 1, 2, etc. Okay, good. Leadership videos, great. Does the mobile plan have admin coaching? Irfan, I'm not sure I understand your question. The mobile app will have the accountability plans, but if your question is, can administrators do all the administrative stuff in the app? It's a good question. I'm going to say no for safety, because it would be so incredibly complex to do that, I think. Plus, it's so much easier to do it on a computer, but it's a good question. I'm going to ask our coach, or yeah, I think somebody says geared towards agents only. Yeah, the app is geared towards agents only. And thank you says, okay, good, we got to cover. Anybody else have a question before I turn it over to our guest presenter? Judy, I'll be to you in just a second. I'm just looking at any more comments that come up. Not seeing any. Let's get to our guest speaker, Judy LaDeur. Judy and I go back, I don't even know how far we go back, but certainly a long time ago. And before I turn it over to her, I just want to tell you a little bit about her. Judy's been in this business for 40 years, about as long as I have, and she's been a recruiter for 30 plus years. In 1992, she started her own company and really focuses specifically on recruiting. She specializes in that. Her only niche market is recruiting. That's what she does. And Judy, I'm going to let you tell them the story about the Jay Leno. It's more fun coming from you. But Judy does on-site consulting for recruiting, and I know it's an issue for every single one of our members and listeners. So I just want you to know that Judy is a great resource. In fact, Paul, Judy, you must know Paul Bermudez, but he just wrote, "Love Judy LaDeur!" exclamation mark. So that's a nice opening. So I'm going to make you a presenter, and I'm going to turn it over to you. And Judy, thank you so much for joining me. I think, one of the cool things about our training is that we can bring people like you to our training. We had Jackie Leavenworth last time. You know Jackie, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jackie came in. And so anyway, Judy, welcome aboard. Thanks for joining us. The show is yours.
Thank you so much, David. And thanks so much for everything that you do for the industry and my clients. As you know, I'm a huge fan of your training and your videos. And honestly, I don't think there's anyone in the industry that does it better than you. Oh, so I'm very honored to be here, and I'm not familiar with your accountability plans, but I'm a huge fan of accountability. So I'm sure that I would love that as well. I'll have to check that out.
All right.
And yeah, so my Jay Leno story, well, I was sharing with David. He said, so what would be 1 or 2 highlights? I said, well, gosh, David, to be honest with you, my big highlight this year was that Jay Leno opened for me at the Grand Arena with 10,000 people in Las Vegas, at the MGM Hotel, which is huge, of course. Now, I did add that, some people would say that Jay Leno was actually the opening speaker and I just came next. However, having gone to lots of concerts, I've always believed that, the opener just gets them warmed up. And I shared that with Jay Leno. I said it's going to go on my bio from now on that Jay Leno actually opened for me in Vegas. So he laughed. He thought that was really funny. But let's just, get down to, we don't have a ton of time, and so I tried to think of what would be maybe the 5 tips that would really help you recruit agents into your office easier, especially because we are in recruiting season. And so I want to start with a saying that a lot of you have heard, but not everyone really believes, and that is really that recruiting does solve all your problems. Now, I know if we were showing how to show up hands, everyone would say, yeah, I've heard about that. And I hear that all the time, but it's still maybe not my favorite thing to do, or it's still really hard, or, it causes problems too. But I want to just start with that because I went to hear a speaker years ago, and he made a statement from stage. And basically what he said is this: real estate's a commission sales business, which means that every one of your agents is trying their very best at all times. He said on every appointment they go on, they're giving their best. And he said, so I want you to think of your agents, especially that lower quartile, and how does that make you feel? And of course, I was kind of depressed, like most managers, thinking, I was really hoping they were better and I just didn't know it. But they are doing their best because they're a straight commission. And so here's the thing. When you change their circumstances, you can change their production and their career. And there's a lot of different ways in which you can change their circumstances. In some cases, you can give them better training. You could probably engage them into David's accountability programs. There's so many things that you could do, but when it comes to recruiting, the one thing that you can do very easily, which will change their circumstances and their production and their career, is to make a commitment to increase your market position by $100 million this year. Now, when I say that to people, and I say, look, just you do your job, you increase your market position $100 million, they just laugh and go, well, yeah, that sounds a lot easier than it actually is, but it truly is easy. And first, you have to understand the difference between market share and market position. So, if we take a look at market share is the production gain through the recruitment of existing agents. And as David said, that is what we specialize in. That's my niche, is to get you positioned and have the best agents in the marketplace, take a look at what you're doing, and want to be part of your team. So if you bring an agent on board who's currently a $5 million producer in the marketplace, you bring that $5 million on board. You bring 3 2s, on board. You brought $6 million on board. So as that production is brought on board and their business is brought on board, you're going to get stronger in the marketplace. But interestingly enough, market position increase sometimes has a greater impact on recruiting, because market position increase is the combination of what you gain combined with what the competition lost. So what's that mean? It means that if you pulled $50 million in production from the competition in your marketplace, you gain 50, they gain 50, which makes you $100 million stronger in the marketplace. And so suddenly when you start to look at the numbers, it gets really easy. So if we take a look at really rock bottom numbers, $2 million producer, I mean, that's a person that's only, keeping $40,000, $50,000. And if you can't do that, truly, they shouldn't even be in real estate. Everything that we're going to share with you today would easily allow you to bring 2 of those agents per month on board, which means that you bring $48 million in production or market share into your company, but you're $98 million stronger in the market. And so therefore, every person that's on your webinar today, David, has the ability to be $100 million stronger in their marketplace next year if they just applied these few different things. And so, the reward is that when you increase your market position, you're going to make it easier for all your agents to list and sell. Plus, you recruit and retain easier because there's more signs, there's more calls coming in, and just everything gets easier for everyone when you stay focused on recruiting. So obviously, the key to increase profits and market share is to commit to build and maintain the relationships, not only just in your office, but in theirs. So here's our first tip for you. Recruiting is a relationship business, and it truly is. It's just that simple about 80 to 90% of the time. When we talk about relationships, I have a friend of mine who is a marriage counselor, and we were talking one day over lunch, and I said to him, like, how often are the marriages can be salvaged, or that partnership or that relationship be salvaged, by the time they come to you? And he said, it just depends on which phase they got in trouble in. He goes, you know, because there's several phases to a relationship. Being curious, I asked him about the different phases, and here's what I learned. The phases of a personal relationship are the same phases that are involved in recruiting. So look at this. He said, you know, the first phase is the courtship phase. You know what that is? He said, you know, that's where she's cooking his favorite meal and he's holding open the door and she's putting little notes in his lunch and, you know, he's sweeping her off her feet with, you know, small gifts and tokens, you know, of his admiration and love. And, you know, honestly, David, this is my favorite phase in the relationship. I love the courtship phase. It's just so much fun. It's everyone's favorite. During the courtship phase, you feel special. You feel good. You're thinking, wow, I really like the attention I'm getting from that person. And in recruiting, that's what we call the relationship building phase. So we teach brokers, we're going to talk about a few ways you could do that today, to court the agents in the marketplace that you would like as members of your team. And, you know, when you're courting them, you're sending them notes, you're interacting with Facebook, you're having lunch just to stay in touch, you're inviting them to social events. Basically, you're showing your best side. You're saying, look at who we are. Wouldn't you like to have a relationship with us? Now, the second phase in the courtship, in the relationship, is based on what happens in the courtship phase. If things go well, that person will make a commitment. You know, my counselor said, here's where relationships start to sometimes get in trouble. He said, you know, if you have a very courtship phase and everything is just wonderful and perfect in the courtship phase and you never really get to the reality part of that, he said sometimes people base their commitment on what they felt or experienced in the courtship phase, and they think that's going to last forever. He said, but it doesn't necessarily last forever. And he said, but during the maintenance phase, which means what happens after they make the commitment, that's what's really important for a long-term solid relationship. So I went back and I said, well, you know, again, just like recruiting, you know, we teach brokers to build those relationships, stay positioned, you know, obviously put your best foot forward so that when the agent decides to make a move, that our clients are the ones that they choose. But the maintenance phase for a broker is called the retention phase. The retention phase, and this is the simplest way that I can put it, what it takes to get them is what it takes to keep them. Okay, so think about that. If you were visiting an agent at their open house and you said, wow, you know, I was going down the street, thought I'd stop in and take a look at your house, maybe we can help get it sold for you, maybe one of my agents has a buyer. If that agent decides, look, I'd love that kind of support from my broker, and they decide to join your team, and within a few weeks of joining your team, they have an open house, do you stop by to see them at their open house? Because if you don't, they might be thinking, wow, you know what, I got more attention before I made the commitment. If you send notes out to agents saying, congratulations on that great listing, but they join your team and you don't, how does that feel? So it's actually a very simple process, and that's why my first tip is it's just a relationship building process. You're gonna court them, you're gonna show them what life with your office looks like, but more importantly, once they do make the commitment to come on board, you gotta remember what it was that drew them in, and it's so much easier to keep an agent than to get one. So this is the other aspect of my business that I really focus in on with brokers on. What are the best ways to retain those agents once you get them? Statistically speaking, and I've been studying human behavior since 1984, we do a lot of programs, you know, for our clients and for their teams on how to know if that person's going to make a decision based on emotion or logic. What we do know in the real estate industry is that we are what's called an emotionally based industry. The majority of all real estate agents are emotional decision makers. In fact, 70% of them are what would be considered expressive, or the I in the DISC program. That's just your typical salesperson. So they have to like you and they have to trust you. And ideally, the majority of agents are going to base their decision on how they feel, not money. Now, there is a lot of people say, well, no, you know what, it's totally about money. Well, there's a point when money is a factor, but it's a very, very small opening. Here's what happens is we're going to talk to you about the timing and whatever, but at the moment that an agent decides they no longer want to be with their current firm and they are looking at other firms, money is just one of the things they're looking for. It's not based on money. You have to compensate them fairly. The better the agent, obviously, the more compensation they're going to feel that they're entitled to. But when it comes down to it, if all things are equal, the majority of agents will go with the person that they feel best about and who they have a relationship with and who they trust. So tip number one is, it's just a relationship building process. In fact, what we're going to talk about is that recruiting very closely resembles farming, okay? All of you work with your agents, teaching them to set up farm areas, to stay positioned, to educate people in their farm area, whether it be social or geographic, on why they should work with you. And David, I know, has many, many videos that talk about how to effectively farm, how to get your message out, how to educate them and build that relationship. Well, farming in its simplest format is selecting a group of people that you want to do business with now in the near future, marketing to them, building relationships and trust, and staying in contact till the time is right. So that is also recruiting. Recruiting is about timing, and recruiting is about positioning. So that's going to lead us into step number two, is that you have to stay positioned, okay? It is not what you do that makes them leave 70% of the time. It's what their broker does or does not do that makes them leave. So what does that mean? That means that there are a lot of situations in real estate that create vulnerability. Sometimes it's a policy change. Sometimes it's a leadership change. Sometimes it's a location change or name change. But when you're an agent, in most cases, agents kind of settle in. They work. They come, they go, they do their thing. They're not too worried about stuff. But when you disrupt their little apple cart, when things are not going as they expected them to go, and they become unhappy, that's when another broker has an opportunity to get in there. So the rule of thumb is that it's what you do between now and that time that determines whether you're going to get a call from that agent when they're unhappy. So think about this. If you have 150 agents in the marketplace that you have identified as people that you would like to be positioned with, you are networking with them on Facebook, you are inviting them to events, you're complimenting them from time to time, you are educating them about what you're doing, that agent starts to learn who you are and what those opportunities are. So that the day their broker does something that makes them unhappy, you are the person that gets that call. And that is always an exciting thing. It's the same thing in the world of being an agent. If an agent has 400 homes that they are marketing to, and they stay in touch and they let them know that their list price to sales price ratio is better than the average in the marketplace, and that their negotiating skills allow homeowners to get more money for their home, that their staging skills get homes sold quicker. If that agent is just constantly educating them as to here's why you want to choose me when you're ready, they know that that seller is not going to do anything until they're ready to make a move. But the goal is to have the seller think of them first when they're ready to make the move. And that's what we do. Now, interestingly enough, in the world of agents, it's easy to put stuff into their home, whether it's a magnet or a calendar or something that says, hey, keep this handy, keep this somewhere so that the day that you become unhappy, you can call me. Unfortunately, that's one of the things in recruiting that was kind of tough to do. It's hard to send an agent your calendar or your magnet and say, hey, stick this on your file cabinet there in your office. If things aren't going well, give me a call. Because it's just not going to happen. And they're probably not going to have it in their home displayed either because they are representing a different company. And one of the things that we had to help brokers do is to find a way to keep your name in front of them at all times and actually even tie their success to. And we did that with a product called the Profitable Recruiter. And in the Profitable Recruiter, we actually write motivational emails that go out each Monday morning. That's called your Monday morning wake-up call to the agents, and they're written in such a way that it's not a recruiting message. It is a motivational message. It's something about goals or determination or whatever it's going to be. But then we encourage the brokers to not only send them to each of their agents on Monday, but to send them to all of the recruits on Monday morning too, and then to say to the recruits and their agents, this is a message that you should pass on to your clients, customers, friends, and family because it's appropriate for everybody. It's what we call three-tier marketing. Three-tier marketing means that if I provide a tool to my agents and my recruits that they then provide to their clients and their customers, every time someone contacts them and says, geez, I love that motivational message on Monday mornings, we're ready to list our house, it keeps them positioned, but now their success is tied to you. And so that's one of the coolest things that we've created over the last several years, I think it's about 4 years ago, was that we finally found a way to keep you positioned with not only every agent that you want in the marketplace, but to allow you to have their success, your agents and their agents' success tied to you. Our brokers that use the system say they'll hire an average of 6 agents a year just by staying positioned.
Say,
Tip
Judy?
number 3, social media has had a huge impact on recruiting. In fact, probably more so than any other thing that I've seen in all my years as a recruiter.
Hey,
why?
Can I stop you for 1 second? Can you hear me?
We're going to show you that. Pardon?
Oh, that last slide, I think there was a typo in it on profitable recruiter that I'm missing.
Thank you so much, David. You're right. So the word profitable is not spelled correctly, but if you spell profitable...
Before I interrupted you, I went to the website to make sure that maybe it wasn't, a shortened version.
Thank you, David. I appreciate that. Well, hopefully our brokers are profitable enough that they know how to spell profitable correctly.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it wasn't intentional. Yes, okay. All right, thanks.
That's okay. So let's talk about social media for a moment. And social media has had a huge impact on recruiting, as I said before, for a variety of reasons. First is that it has allowed brokers to really much more easily bring new agents on board. And because there's so many job placement resources out there that you can use. But also, if you're not using AdWorks, AdWorks is where suddenly, you know somebody, and you're like, wow, look at this. I'm on Facebook, or I'm on my email, or I'm out there on Facebook, and I'm seeing this person's photograph that I know. A lot of our brokers don't use AdWorks. It's so inexpensive. It's definitely a way to keep you positioned when agents are online. I would definitely suggest that you do that. But another thing that a lot of people are not familiar with is called second or third tier marketing on LinkedIn. And that second tier, third tier marketing on LinkedIn means this. Again, very small investment on your part, but if you've got 100 people that on your LinkedIn account, but each one of them have 100 people on their LinkedIn account, second tier marketing means that you're now marketing to 10,000 people, not 100. So it's 100 times 100. And you can go even down to a third tier marketing. So it just lets you tap into the people, not only that you know, but the people they know and the people they know when you're looking for new candidates with regard to real estate. It's a great source for you. Experienced agents, oh my gosh, Facebook has helped us build the relationship so much faster. In the old days, we had phone calls and maybe personal notes. But if an agent's happy, you can't call them every single month and say, are you unhappy yet? Okay, I'll check in next month. Because if you just keep doing that every month, they're going to be so annoyed with you. So in the old days, we'd talk to them every 3 or 4 months, unless, there was an interest and we were, had shortened that time. Until they were at least interested in making a move, it was maybe every 3 to 4 months. And as you're going to see here in a minute, it takes many contacts to build a relationship, so it took us a long time to really start to see those relationships develop. They've talked about Facebook in regards to TV series that we are very engaged in. Okay, so right now, if you think of a show that you watch on a regular basis. It could be, you know, a TV show that comes on every week, like, you know, NCIS or something, or it could be a series such as Game of Thrones or House of Cards. We tune into that on television, and we watch paid actors and actresses that are basically just performing a job. But every single one of us forms an opinion about that person by watching them every week. So we start to think in terms of, well, that one can't be trusted. Oh, they're totally up to something. I know that, because you just know how they are. Or, oh, she's so sweet. Or, oh, he is so wonderful. We've got all these impressions of people, and actors and actresses will tell you that people walk up to them on the streets and they'll say things such as, you know, I liked you until last week. I don't like you anymore. Why? Because they believe that that is the character of the person from just, again, interacting with them on television each week. And so that's what they said about Facebook, is that Facebook allows you to suddenly start building relationships without even seeing these people, because you see what they do, you see what their family looks like, you see what kind of quotes they have, and suddenly you think that you know these people, relatives, classmates, people have not connected since high school. So, like, what do we remember about that person in high school? Nothing, but simply 50 years later, connecting in high school, and it's like, wow, here's my good friend from high school, who you really hadn't thought about at all for 50 years since you got out of high school. And so it's just amazing how it works. The rule of marketing, this is going to show you how the impact has really affected recruiting. Rule of marketing is called 3-7-27. And 3-7-27 means this. It's going to take 3 contacts for someone that does not know you to remember who you are. So I could call someone up, say I'm Judy LaDeur with ABC Realty, looking to see if you thought about changing offices, you know, now or, you know, anytime soon. And they're like, no, I'm happy. Well, if you ask that person 3 or 4 days later, who called you, they won't know because they can't remember me. But by the time I've called them 3 times, and I keep identifying myself 3 times, they'll at least remember who I am. Within 7 contacts or interactions, okay, they are going to remember that it's Judy LaDeur with ABC Realty. Okay, just like David Knox, David would have, you know, 3 contacts with someone. They're like, oh yeah, David Knox, I remember you. But pretty soon, David Knox, okay, the guy with all those great training videos and has got this whole website set up to train your agents. So suddenly the connection is to the company. But it takes 27 contacts to build someone's trust. So therefore, as you can see, by using Facebook and going back and forth very quickly to do that, so we have what's called a Facebook rule we give our brokers, and that rule is 20-10-5-1. What that means is that each day in the morning you should go on Facebook for 20 minutes, spend 20 minutes on Facebook, interact with your recruits, like 10 of their comments, make 5 actual comments yourself on something that they've posted, and send out 1 personal message asking if you can set up a time to get together and discuss their business. At the end of the day, I always recommend the same rule with your own agents. Spend 20 minutes, check in with your agents, make some comments, you like some things that they're doing, and let one of your agents know that you really appreciate what they do for you. Now, the easiest way to do this is to use lists. And a lot of people are not familiar with this. This is not a group. Okay, people do not know that they're part of this group. It simply allows you to use this. Go to facebook.com/bookmarks/list. It allows you to take all of your recruits and put them into a list, which pops up on the side of your Facebook page. You can also take your own agents, put them on a list, pops up on the side of your Facebook page. By doing this, when you come in, you just click on the list, and only the comments from the people within that group or that list are going to show up. And that's the only way that you can quickly just rotate through comments being made from one of those 2 groups that you need to be paying attention to daily. A lot of people, there's another typo, a lot of people ask me about LinkedIn. The easiest way to use LinkedIn is to use that as a testimonial. So if you have a nice transaction with someone, definitely, you know, send them a nice testimonial and let them know that you really enjoyed working with them. Same thing with your own agents. Put a testimonial on your own agents' pages. and let them know how much you really, really appreciate everything that they do, and let their clients know what a great job that they do. Tip number 4 deals kind of with what we were just talking about in number 3, which is stay engaged and connected with at least 100 agents at all times. Now, a lot of brokers tell me they have like 20 people on their hit list or 25, and when I hear that, that's not a hit list. That's more of a wish list. That's called, I know that there's 20 people out there that I want, and I'm staying focused on those 20. Well, chances are if you do that, your results are not going to be that great. You need a much larger group, at least 100. They should always be in a CRM program. That's going to allow you to build that relationship and stay positioned easily. And engage with at least 15 agents a week. Now, I use engaged because engaged means any form of communication that they reply to, okay? So that could be texting. I found that when the market's busy, you'll get a faster response by sending a text to some of these agents. If you send out an email and they respond back, you have engaged with them. A phone call to where you connect with them, that's an engagement. So face-to-face interaction, you've engaged. So think of it this way. When we looked at that 3-7-27 rule, once you have had an engagement, a communication that they were relying to, so you guys were communicating in any way for 27 times, they know enough about you at that point to trust you and to feel as though they could make that decision to join your team when the time's ready. And that's really what all this is doing. It's designed to have them, about halfway sold by the time they're ready to do something. Now, think about it. If you spend 8 months a year in phase 1 of building the relationship, you're positioned to propose in the other 4 months during recruiting season. So what do we mean by that? Most of the time, we say to our brokers, don't put a lot of pressure on them. I mean, stay positioned. Let them get to know you. Let them get to like you. Let them get to trust you. But there are 2 times of the year when we have what's called recruiting season. And what's recruiting season? It's the time of year where they think it's easier to move. So typically, recruiting season is from the end of August till, about mid-October, okay? It also starts the end of December, goes through towards about the end of February. It's those 2 times of the year when they think it's easier to move because they're coming off summer holidays or winter holidays. And therefore, their production is a little bit lower. So during recruiting season, okay, you should always be a lot more direct. And I've actually got that script that we use with our clients to tell our clients, just call the agents up, go straight in, straight for the kill. As you probably know, which gets their attention, because it says to them, you probably know this, agents will traditionally make a move, or at least check out their options this time of year, since their inventory is lower, they have fewer pending listings, and it's just an easier time to make the move. Obviously, any agent who decides to make the move is going to want to do so before the fall market gets too busy. So the reason for our call is we'd like to set the time to get together and discuss your business. If you like what you hear, let us give you a proposal. Now, we use the word proposal versus join because if you ask someone, if you say you might want to join us, sometimes it just makes them feel a little uncomfortable because it feels like pressure, but proposal creates curiosity. Like, wow, I wonder what that would look like. So this is kind of, as you can see, it's a very direct script. We only use it during recruiting season, but it's just, we're building the relationship the rest of the time of year. During season, let's go out for the hit. Now, there is another time of the year where we give a specific closing. We have, the whole year round when I'm coaching and working with brokers, we're always saying, okay, here's the season that this script's going to work, or this is the season for that. But interestingly enough, I am like everyone else. I think that our recruiting season does start around the 1st of September and goes right through till February, even though it's going to get really busy for the best agents the end of October and November, first part of December. But we developed kind of a holiday close so that when the agents start to push you off and they say, look, I want to make the move, I'm just going to wait till after the holidays because now you're going to see that happening, fairly soon. We just teach the brokers to say, look, totally understand. Service, it might seem like it's easier to wait till after the holidays. And, we hear that from agents quite often this time of year. But let me ask you this. Do you send out a holiday mailing the 1st of December? And do you enclose a few business cards with that mailing? And do you also send a calendar or something for them to remember you throughout the year? Maybe you see your friends and family, clients more in the month of December. So does it make more sense to send the business card where you're going to be versus the business card where you used to be? Because whenever an agent puts off the move till January, the first thing they say is, I wish I would have made the move in December. Because now we have to resend everything. So we know it's very hectic this time of year, but how could we assist you to make that move by the end of December at the latest? Since most agents who make it by the end of December actually even find that they pick up a few extra referrals in December, interacting with people that they know. So how could we make that happen sooner? And this is just called, during that time when they do want to push you off, there are steps to push that time frame up. And our 5th tip for today is that it's just a process. And David, I'm sorry, did you have something you wanted to say there?
No, I'm sorry, just saying it's a great technique. I like your proposal and I like the scripts.
Oh, thank you, David. It works really well. The 5th tip is really just, in closing, really is that it's a process. And recruiting is something that is a very complex entire system. Do you have the right group of agents? There is a technique involved in making sure that the people that you're in contact with are the right group of agents for your office. And a simple way to know that is, look at the people on your list, and are the people that you're looking to recruit, would they be looking for what you as a company have to offer? Does your marketing educate and create curiosity about who you are and what happens to those that join? So just like an agent's marketing does that, your marketing should create that desire for them to say, wow, I wish my company were doing that, and I'd love to be part of that. You have to stay consistent with your calls and your contacts, just like agents, because as soon as you drop the ball and you quit doing it, that's about the time an agent makes a move and you miss them. And here's a big one. Do you spend more time listening and less time selling in the interview? Because if not, if your style is more to sell them on joining you, chances are your close ratio is not as good as it could be. So our whole technique is listen to what it is that they're saying. Ask a lot of questions. Albert Einstein has a quote. Albert Einstein, it's my favorite quote by Albert Einstein, says this: if I had 1 hour to solve a problem and my life depended on the right answer, I'd spend the first 55 minutes determining the proper questions to ask. So think about that. His life depends on the solution. He'd spend 55 minutes asking the right questions, because if he did that, it'd only take him 5 minutes to find the solution. That is how we train brokers to conduct the interview process. And those that follow it have found that 70% of the time that they're sitting face-to-face with an agent who's now ready to make that move, that agent will join in that first meeting. Now, or they'll commit to join. Okay, sometimes there's a transition process we have to go through, but you'll only see those kind of numbers if, in fact, they're 50% of the way sold when they walk through your door. You've done your marketing, you've built the relationship, they trust you, and the timing's right, so that when they're actually ready to make the move, they walk into your door and they're like, okay, I think I'm ready to do that. Let's see what it looks like, and so therefore it's pretty easy to have it. Some great results in recruiting, but you have to take the time to build the system and master the process. And when you do that, recruiting is so much easier. I imagine, David, that your guests are like most of the audiences that I'm in front of as well. Some of them can answer yes to a lot of these questions, and some of them are just thinking, wow, like I would love to have those kind of results. And so we just want to let your brokers know that there's a couple of things that we want to offer them today One is that the Profitable Recruiter, and it is spelled correctly here, thank goodness, is a great way to stay positioned in the marketplace, not only with your own agents, but the agents that you want, and a great way to tie their success to you. But we also, it's like, brokers tell us it's like recruiting on autopilot, because every single week we also give you an activity to do for recruiting and retention purposes that's tied to the message. We give activities for the agents to do each week. We give you something to talk about in your phone calls, so your phone calls have a purpose. We also do success webinars each month, similar to this, David, where we're asking other guest speakers to come on and talk to our clients about, that in many cases are just great recruiters in the marketplace that have a lot to share to make their job easier. And we wanted, David, to offer all of your clients 35% off any of our pro memberships, our 6-month or 1-year pro membership. And one of the nice things is that within the company, one membership, you can have 10 members on one subscription for one price. And so if you've got several managers, you've got a recruiter and several managers and a broker, and you want everyone to have access to it, or even have 10 branch offices, one subscription is all that you're going to need. And when you go to the profitrecruiter.com and you look at our pro membership plans, if you put plan 35 in there, that's going to give you 35% off your subscription. Just again, for those people that are looking for a better way to stay connected. And the last thing that we just want to make everyone aware of, we sent the announcement out for this today, and I waited, David, actually, so that we wouldn't announce it until today, because there's only 10 spots open for this event. But we have a 3-day boot camp training that is, the results are the best in the industry with regard to results when people walk out of this boot camp training. We've got some of the results up there of people that took the training. And Paul, actually, I think if this is the same Paul, I think, Paul, we've got your results up there from the Recruiting Blitz in 2016. But if you take a look there, everyone that's listed here has gone through our training in one format or another over the past year. And as you can see, here's Jane. She's a recruiter down in St. Louis, went to the program in December, had 33 recruits. Mona will be our guest speaker in the Profitable Recruiter this month. She went through training in June, and she's already brought on 23 recruits in her first 120 days as a brand new recruiter. Lots of things there. We have blitzes. We're actually engaged in a blitz right now. And we're 3 weeks into our fall recruiting blitz down there. You can see that our top brokers, and this is in 3 weeks right now in the blitz, is we've got David that's already brought on 5 experienced and 2 new, Mona with 6 experienced and 5 new, and Keith with 6 experienced agents in 3 weeks.
Wow. So
it's a great platform to really just learn everything that you need to do to have a full program, full recruiting program. We're not going to do another class this year, but we had a waiting list from our class that we just conducted a few weeks ago. So we went ahead and scheduled one for November 30th, December 1st, and 2nd. Great timing for January. And but we had 8 people on a wait list, and the class only holds 18. So it's a very, very one-on-one for those of you that might be on the call that have been there. So we do have 10 spots opening. We did just launch the marketing on that today, but we also wanted to let your clients know as well, David.
Good. And what's the date of that? Oh, that's the November 30, December 1 and 2.
30th, December 1st and 2nd. It's held in Geneva, Illinois, right outside Chicago at the Harrington Inn.
Okay.
And again, it's a lot of role playing. The goal when you arrive there is to have you spend 3 days. It's a very customized process to develop what your compelling reasons to join your company should be like, what your presentation should look like, what sort of questions you should be asking, and what your marketing should look like, and basically just give you everything you need to walk out of there and start recruiting instantly. And that's why the results that you see up here, some people are like, holy cow, but most of those basically are people that have gone through. Alicia, 67 agents since January. She was actually going to go through the program, and she had a death in the family that kept that from happening. So she's been our coaching program. But she went through the entire audio program, and she watched the slides, and she had never recruited before January. Right now, year to date, she got 67 recruits in her office. Just again because she's really just mastered that process that we learned. So we'd love to help any of your clients, David, that would need some help with their recruiting as well.
Well, thank you. I hope 10 of you will take advantage of that. I think it's a great way to grow your business, and it's the most important thing you can do. And I think now that you've heard Judy, you know the kind of quality you're getting. It was really a great presentation. Jewel asked if we're going to be getting this PowerPoint. Do I have your permission to share that?
Sure. Let me change the 2 typos I saw, and then we'll send it to you. Correct?
Yeah, don't worry. We won't do it now because we post this as a recording, and we'll put a link to the PowerPoint, or we'll put it in our manager resources section, so you don't have to rush to do it now. So Jewel, watch for it when we post that. And also for those of you, might as well do a screenshot of this so you know how to get a hold of Judy, and so you got her website down there and phone number. You know, I think about 2 guys at a flower shop. One says to the other, "What did you do?" And the joke was that, you know, they probably did something to make his wife happy and had to buy flowers. So the same as recruiting. You know, the broker is going to probably make a mistake. You need to be there. So, and also yeah. For my members, if you go to Knox First Tuesday, number 99, Jeb Blunt really talks about overcoming some of that fear of making that contact. So, Judy, thank you very much. That was really, really good information. I hope everybody enjoyed it. If you guys, I guess we'll take a second to see if there's any more questions that anybody wants to post. And the answer to that is probably you're free to call Judy and check in with her. So again, that was a wonderful presentation, and I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Thank you for being members of Real Estate Training by DavidKnox.com. We certainly appreciate your business. Let us know what else we can do for you. See you guys later.
Thanks, Dave.